Here we are, back in the Freedom Portal. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for the honor, really the privilege of connecting with you all over the world. You know, wherever you are seeing the world differently than everyone else on this call. In fact, everyone else in the world in 3D. But also, no matter where you are, you're also looking through your own lens, your own worldview inside. And the theme for this month in the Freedom Portal is worldview. And today we have a special focus on spirituality. They're so closely intertwined, as you know, and as we'll explore. And in this particular episode, we're going to be looking into the nature of and the skills needed for cross-realm communication, vertically, horizontally, all different sorts of ways. We'll explore what those realms are. How do you communicate across them? So in considering the inner part of worldview, it seems to me, we covered this in, some in my 7 Levels Deep a couple of weeks ago, that seems like the foundation of worldview is, who am I? What do I think is going on really? And why am I here? So today's title is intended to get to that. Today, we're going to be lifting the fog, dancing with the divine, and healing across illusionary boundaries. So that's what we're in for today. And I want to welcome new visitors on Rumble and Odyssey and Twitter and YouTube. And then I know dozens of folks at least are doing restreaming on various other platforms. So welcome to all of you. We'll explain the format as we go along. But what you need to know is for the first about half of the show, you'll have free access there on those platforms. And then we'll transition to just the Zoom platform. And if you want to join us for the rest of the show, join the subscribers who are on Zoom, there's a way that you can do that for free and very quickly. And later on, we'll be describing that process to you. So, you know, I found in looking back that I get nervous before every show. And fortunately, my Aikido teacher for 20 years taught me early on. Yeah, he said, Foster, don't mistake energy gathering in your center for some sort of bad nervousness or inappropriate fear. He said, that's simply energy gathering for a special situation, and it will take you to capabilities that you wouldn't have normally. And then what happens is people start coming on in the chat from different places around the world. And then all that nervousness turns into excitement. And the more I let myself get into that and connect with you, have that feeling of connection with everybody around the world, around really important stuff that we're going to talk about, then that turns into enthusiasm, the entheos, the in God, you know, and that moves up into that moves the excitement of the belly up into the chest, and it just takes over, and, you know, it takes me into the zone. So we're going to dive in shortly. I will introduce you to our amazing guests in a moment. But first of all, I want to give credit where credit is due. My amazing background today was designed and created by the remarkable Teresa Collins, who's been working with Thrive off and on for the entire time we've been around, at least 15 years or something like that. We've been dear friends and creative partners for 20 years. Anyway, thank you for that, Teresa. And Leandrew, why don't you come on and say hello and tell me, how's your worldview doing today?
Hey guys, good to be back in the portal as always. This time coming from a remote location in Norfolk, Virginia, right now, where I was born and raised. And yeah, my worldview is about to be expanded. I have no doubt. This is just one of the most important sectors of the whole model of the sector model, which is why it's there at the core. And just going through our tech check that we were doing for this show and hearing the questions that Foster is going to be asking our guests, it's like only the most challenging and thought-provoking questions that anybody can be asked. So I'm excited to hear it, and I know our guests are going to stun us with their insights, and it's going to be a great show.
All right, thank you. You should have a card that says have tech, will travel. I honestly don't know how you can travel and somehow carry in a suitcase the technology to actually connect us all worldwide and pull it off every time. I know sometimes it's really challenging, but you keep doing it, and thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to have backup in the form of Kaylin on our team. So
yeah, absolutely.
Always important. Thanks,
all
guys.
right. So Mitra and Deborah, if you could turn your cameras on. Welcome to both of you. I am so thrilled. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Both of you have been such dear friends and supporters for a long time of Kimberly and me, of Thrive, of our spiritual lives. And I love that you were the two who came to mind around this topic. So thank you for being those people. What I want to do is, first of all, just give a little bit of a formal 3D introduction. And then invite you each to introduce yourselves on a more essential level. So I want to start by just letting people know that Mitra Politi is the spiritual director for Rhythmia Life Enhancement Center in Costa Rica. Now, this is where Kimberly and I did workshops, where we taught workshops over several years, and where Kimberly established a health clinic called Hemalucent. And had wonderful times with Mitra again and again down there. Mitra is also a certified acupuncturist, intuitive healer, and practitioner of indigenous Columbian healing under the guidance of Taita Juanito Chindoy Chindoy. Mitra also leads transformational workshops, participates in public speaking events, and offers private coaching for entrepreneurs and CEOs interested in bringing a spiritual and holistic focus into their business. As a young man, after completing a 4-year degree in traditional Chinese medicine and Zen Shiatsu, and administering his own private clinic in Israel, Mitra chose to leave the Mediterranean conflict of his homeland and retreat to a newly formed ecological and spiritual community. That's Rhythmia, down in Costa Rica. In my experience, Mitra brings great love, clarity, intuition, and humor to every endeavor that he does. And on a very personal level, I would just say that he's one of my very favorite men that I've ever met. He's one of the people who, particularly when I'm under stress or feeling a little lost or confused, I just close my eyes and invoke the vibration that I know as Mitra. And I think to myself, okay, well, what would Mitra do? So Mitra, thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, very excited for this talk and for this meeting, and to reconnect with you and the people that are connecting to your message.
Well, thank you especially for doing this show. I know that you traveled to Israel for your mother's birthday. It seems like you've secured a good internet connection, so thanks for carving out this time.
With pleasure, with pleasure.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Deborah. Deborah is co-founder, executive producer, and host of Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. A ton of people in our network know what that is and have really kind of used that as a source of enjoyment and clarity over the last 2.5 years of the pandemic scourge. And it's been a lifeline for a lot of people. And I personally have really benefited from it. So it features well-known transformational speakers, spiritual leaders, musicians, and entertainers, and gets approximately 50,000 views internationally per show. Deborah's been supporting and creating new paradigm evolution for over 45 years. She's been an entrepreneur. She was 21 years, when she was 21 years old, she started growing a series of businesses that supported personal growth and transformation, healthy and sustainable lifestyles, new spirituality, and community connection. Beginning in 1978, Deborah founded the Harmony Festival in Santa Rosa, California. This is like a classic. This is one of the cornerstones of Northern California spirituality and has been for decades. And that's thanks to Deborah. It's a nationally recognized 3-day outdoor festival of music, art, ecology, health, and spirituality, attended annually by more than 30,000 people. That's a lot of work. Deborah has also had done some international marketing business, Wishing Well Promotions, with over 250,000 subscribers that follow her websites and e-newsletters, Harmony Connect, and Deborah Recommends. Deborah Recommends shares transformative online events and sources and live festivals, conferences, and events, and transformation into the new paradigm, which shares leading edge wisdom and resources for the emerging new paradigm. I'll show you some slides of some of this later on. Deborah is the author of the online and hard copy book, Activate Your Soul Tribe. This book is absolutely amazing. Hold it up here. There's never been a better time, a more important time for this book. You know, we are all finding our true tribe, you know, not the ones who happen to live around us, the ones who happen to have the same ethnic or religious background or gender or class or race or whatever. You know, we're finding our tribe through finding those people who share a commitment to truth and to freedom and to honoring honest conversations that can go anywhere. So I highly recommend that book. We'll give you linking information in the chat and later on. You know, I saw a message earlier on in the chat that the chat was not working. Now it seems to be. So let me know if it's not. But it looked like the chat had been disabled, or at least the whole group chat. Looks like it's resumed. That is great news. Okay, so that book, Activate Your Soul Tribe, is available for free online or through Amazon. Deborah also produces workshops, panels, and educational materials on the topic of ascension. So in a more informal way, what I would say about Deborah is that she also has this uncanny sense of calm. I have seen her while she's literally in the process of producing an event with 30,000 people. I've seen her in various challenging situations, technically, interpersonally, spiritually, and I've never seen her lose this sense of center. It comes across to me as like an ancient Egyptian princess who's kind of like visiting us this lifetime. And I was struck by it the first time that I met her, but it's really even more potent for me that I've never seen it go away. So I'll be asking you about that in a minute. But the other thing that I want to say is that Deborah, for me, has been one of the most successful people already, and it's only increasing, at reaching out across customary boundaries of political groups or worldview groups, and finding the common denominator and healing and actually disappearing that divide. That's one of the reasons why I particularly wanted to have you on now, Deborah, is that whether you're talking to politicals, conservatives, people in the truth movement, the freedom movement, the conspiracy movement, whatever it is, you keep relating to people as human beings who are worthy of respect and who are in the process of an authentic path. And it just creates magic around you. And I love that. I learned from that. And thank you for coming on today. So how are you doing?
Thank you so much, Foster. I honor you as well. Thank you for that incredible introduction. And yeah, we're all here for these times. And I right back at you for all you've done. So it's mutual admiration here and everyone on this call. And it's really the time for all of us to step up. So that's what we came here to do. And that's what excites me. So it's my play. It's, you know, it's my dharma. It's what I love to do, to bring people together and really be on the path of this awakening and evolution that we're here now. So all of that is my play and fun and just my honor to give to everyone.
Fantastic. Well, I think you probably partially answered my first question for you. People in the Freedom Portal know that I don't shy away from the big questions. So my question for you is, who are you and what is your purpose?
Yeah, and I think on this show, I can just be straight up. I don't have to censor anything. So I'm really clear that I came here for these times as a committed and passionate soul, whether I came from other galaxies, whether other lifetimes, and I knew I came here, I'm here for these times. And I knew very early on, as a teenager, I woke up. It was the 60s where I grew up. I live in Sebastopol. I've lived here my whole life, right near San Francisco, where it birthed. And all those ideals, that was kind of the first transition that happened where people woke up and where love and community and healthy eating and taking care of our earth and coming together were priorities in that consciousness. And I looked at that and I said, my people, I understand that, you know, and I was a little bit younger, but then that's where at 21, after seeing Woodstock and knew that that was a catalyst of transformation, I felt very called to produce the Harmony Festival and do that for 33 years. So I'm definitely here and I use business as my tool. So, and I listen to spirit ongoing for instructions. I meditate every day. At 2012, I've always meditated on and off, but at 2012, it was like, okay, you can't go on and off. This is consistent now. Meditation is a practice. So every morning I get up at 4 a.m., tune in, download energies, download my instructions, and go for it. And it's my passion and creativity that comes through. And that's what I love to create. So I do it through business and I do it through connecting people and us collaborating and working together. And as you said, really honoring everyone and tuning into what I'm here to do. And then with the pandemic, again, next level of instructions, where Harmony was collecting people on the West Coast of the United States and having people come together and really experience community transformation, higher levels of consciousness, and what's next. Now it's worldwide. Now definitely my calling is to bring people together worldwide, because this is a worldwide awakening and ascension that's happening now. Beautiful. So I do it through the means of business and doing ongoing business and empowering people nonstop. So
I think you're sharing that you've chosen entrepreneurship as part of your spiritual path. I think I'm getting glimpses in your answer of the source of that calm that I always notice in you. Because first of all, you're clear on your purpose, and secondly, you're grounding it all in business, and you can't just wave your hands and go kumbaya and have your business work. You know, you need to deal with reality and exchanging true value with people. And then the third thing, which I didn't know, is getting up every morning and meditating at 4 a.m. No wonder you've got a superpower going there.
Yeah, that allows me to get things done early. Yeah. But it's true. I've been blessed with my feet on the ground, so I'm squarely on the ground, but my head connected to spirit. So I have that kind of ability to get instruction from spirit, but then really push it on the ground and manifest it. And coming from the heart, you know, and everything and dealing with people is the magic as well. And, you know, it's not like it's easy. There's anyone that has been on the path has gone through everything. If you can imagine producing a festival for, even when I started out, 10,000, 20,000 people, and everyone having their opinion of you and having their own issues and having things go wrong, that is a master cauldron of learning how to be in the moment, find the solution, Never look at it like it's going to go haywire, but the solution, whatever shows up is what you need to deal with. And maybe it says turn left, and you can't argue with God and say, no, I want to go right. If you're in spirit and you're flowing through and it comes through and it says turn left, then that's where you go and you realize, wow, that was much better. So
Yeah.
all of that comes through just being on the planet and sincerely giving your life over to God and spirit and the mission, basically.
That's super useful to be able to ground the spiritual experience and the spiritual insights into practical everyday, okay, how to handle the problems. That's beautiful. Let me shift to you for a moment, Mitra, and ask you, who are you beyond the history that I described of people and your accomplishments and so forth? Who are you and what is your purpose?
I'm a humble student of what it means to be human, doing that research. And my purpose is to understand that and to learn more about it, to do my research good, and then to share it from that place with different modalities that will create an impact of healing and evolution to myself and to others. So I'm learning how to be a master student.
Beautiful. So I've always admired your calm as well. Can you describe a little bit, were you born that way? You make it look, you both make it look easy, and I know it's not. So can you give us some hints as to the source of your calm?
When I was a child, I was actually very hyperactive, you know. You can hear very funny stories from my parents about some of my behaviors. But always I had this internal dialogue with spirits, yeah, internally and externally. And somewhere in my 20s, it got more shape and form and understanding. And then I dove into meditation. That definitely changed something with my alchemy internally. I became more calm, but it's not because I didn't have any troubles. I became more calm because I was just simply more connected and more relaxed into a certain knowing about my true being.
You know, I'm going to take a moment while we're on this topic, and I'm going to share a short clip from Thrive 2, where you actually address this really beautifully. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, here we go.
Someone who's profoundly helped me to become more adept at finding my own stillness is my dear friend and teacher, Mitra Politi.
Meditation and prayer. In the essence of it, they are leading to the same place. It's a connection with Source. And then there is equilibrium. There is a meeting point between the divinity of the field to the divinity of oneself. Within meditation, for me, there is few major benefits. One is to reflect where I'm at with my actions and with my thoughts and with my feelings. Second, to bring a more soft dialogue between me and myself. And eventually to connect back to the Creator, to connect back to all that there is. Through that process, there is a thin 0 point. It's the sound of silence that puts everything back into the place. You know? That is a great practice to bring to anything. That is a great practice to have as an ally. It's a great practice to keep us evolving in the right direction.
I love that clip.
I look much younger there.
So let me stick with you for a minute while we're talking about this and ask you, you refer to source, you refer to creator. So my next question for both of you, I'll start with you, Mitra, is what is your working definition of God or source or creator?
It's the essence of our being. In the essence of our being, there is a shapeless form or a shapeless movement that it is the void that does not have anything but is containing everything in the same time. And that is the essence of who we are, and that essence is everywhere around us, in every little thing. Is the current of love.
Beautiful. And Deborah, what's your current working definition of God?
Yeah, thank you for that great question. It's everything. It's you and me. It's life. It's love. It's everything. And I think the real question is, how do we bring the experience of God into our life, into our moment, into everything that we do? Because we can be unconsciously just living this 3D reality with all the toys and adventures and challenges and all that. But how do we bring the presence into the moment where we can live at a level of higher consciousness, of higher experience of love, higher experience of bliss and connection with others? And that's really what religions are supposed to do, is get you to that point where you can really slow down and observe your inner self and observe the outer self and be more self-aware so you can attain those states. And that's what ascension is about now, is really being able to access the higher states so that you can experience this life, this God, this everything at a much higher level than if you wouldn't be aware or be conscious of it. So my working
definition. You mentioned ascension. Well, for some people aren't familiar with that term, so could you unpack that a little bit? What is ascension?
Definitely, it's what a lot of the awakening community is calling this accelerated spiritual process that's available, especially now. It's been available all the time. Jesus went through the ascension process. There's documentation of many Tibetan monks going through the ascension process and getting their rainbow light body and going into the next level of consciousness, whether you call it fifth dimensional or ascended. It's really the divine human coming through us. And that's really what we're wanting to achieve as we fine tune our being and our ability and our light body to go to another level. And what's happening on the planet now is everything is shifting, and the earth and everything around is going through this accelerated evolution. And this happens many times in the planetary universal reality where there's an upgrade. And that's, as above, so below. We see this in nature all the time where it evolves to a next level. And so at this time, what we're embracing is the opportunity for a planetary ascension, whereas instead of just one being, one avatar ascending, and they become the ascended master that we know and that we know from our religions, it's really all of us that have the opportunity now to really ascend to another level of divine human. And that's because of everything that's going on the planet now, and because of what's happening, and because we as a species are waking up together. And it's by choice. Not everyone has to do that. Everyone's on their own path. Everything is great. But those that came here for this, what I call showtime, right now, where we could come together and really assist each other in this accelerated evolutionary path. And it takes a form of, your intuition starts to open up, and you have a whole another level of seeing, or synchronicity shows up in your life more, or you get more flow. And of course, before that, there has to be a lot of clearing and cleansing and releasing of trauma so that vibrationally you are operating at a higher frequency. And that's kind of what you see when you see masters and you see this level of frequency that they operate or they're awakened. It's all of that. But for us now, it's our time to embrace that should we choose to.
Yeah, you mentioned the fifth dimension. Let me focus on that for a moment. We've got a lot of scientists in our network as well. And for mathematicians, dimension means simply you have to go off at a right angle. Some of my scientific teachers have said, no, there aren't different dimensions. We all live in the same dimension. It's just that there are different frequencies. You experience different realities, just like when you're changing channels on your TV, you experience different realities dependent on the frequency of your perception. So when you say, most people think of us living in three dimensions, and you're talking about ascending to the fifth, what's the fourth dimension?
Fourth dimension tends to, now this is all conceptual in the spiritual definition. And you're right, we're talking about frequencies, and we're talking about much more than we can even conceive or describe at this moment. Sometimes people call it fourth density. They use the term density. Some of the spiritual teachers use that. But it's basically activating your frequency in your body to the next level where you're able to function at a much higher level. And the dimensions and the densities go up, 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 where the ascended masters and the angels operate at a whole higher frequency, which is why we don't experience them unless we raise our frequency to be able to attune to them, which you can do in meditation. Meditation is where you can get your consciousness to tune into another frequency or density or dimension. So I wouldn't put the box of scientific and the box of that, although it's all the same, as we know, they're all coming together, but the definitions are a little bit different. But
right.
We're using words and all that now to explain.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, because that's one of, I think, my missions here is to define things, and use accurate definitions sufficiently that we can the whole picture comes into focus. And science and spirituality and healing, they're not different, but it does take a fair amount of experience and definition to see how they fit together. And I want to explore that with Mitra, but before I go back to you, Mitra, I want to ask you one other thing. While we're on Ascension, Deborah, I know that you recently were at a new festival called Disclosure Fest, and I've been hearing amazing stuff from this festival. And I want you to share some of your reflections about the relationship of that kind of gathering to Ascension. And also, you have been so integral to the whole festival scene for decades. So you have seen it change. You've seen it, the whole medium, in a sense, transform. What did you see at Disclosure Fest that excited you?
It was beautiful. First of all, I saw a lot of people in their hearts, really dropped into their hearts and really connecting and really happy to be there. And that's in terms of ascension and spirituality, that's number one, being in your heart, being there, loving each other, being connected and all that. And all the speakers were about new paradigm topics as ascension, as disclosure, a lot of the things that you feature on Thrive, a lot of types of spirituality, and there was teachers there. And there was no drugs. Now, drugs can be a medicine, but that's what they are, a medicine. But I don't believe they're to be had at festivals where everyone gets on a certain frequency, and the drugs you can't really contain them, and they can go off in different directions. So everyone was there, and most everyone in a higher consciousness. And when you get people together with high level music, high level speaking, connecting from their heart, the field starts to grow. And then everyone can experience these higher states on their own. And it feels like maybe they're just having a good time and they're really high. But really, as a field, we are raising in consciousness and supporting each other. And the most beautiful thing they did is they stopped the festival midway for a half an hour, and everyone went into meditation and prayed for peace. So you had this moment where there was 5,000, 10,000 people stopping, going into meditation and going into their heart and going into the unified field of consciousness and praying for unity and peace. And so that, to me, is awesome. And what you should be doing at festivals is using this group field to create peace in the world. And healing in the world, which I think everyone knows of all the studies that have happened when you do it with mass consciousness, that it really helps to affect the field ongoing. So that to me was wonderful.
Great. Thanks for the report. So Mitra, one of the things that Kimberly and I have been blessed to experience with you again and again is your ability to travel to different realms and meet people where they are. You know, you keep showing up for each of us in dreams and meditation, as well as in 3D reality. And I would love it if you would talk for a moment about, we were talking about dimensions and ascension and frequencies and so forth. Whatever words you use, could you talk for a moment about this notion of moving from one realm to another? Like, how do you do it, and who is it, or what is it that goes with you from one realm to another?
It's I will simplify it, because sometimes if I will look for different realms around me, I can get lost. But there is the realm within me. Yeah, it's my physical body, my emotional body, my mental body, my spiritual body. And when I connect to each channel in a very simple way, it is becoming very clear what is my emotion, what is my thought, what is my body, what is my spirit. And when we are connected to the dimension that is in us, yeah, then we can sense what is also the spiritual part in us. And when we are able to sense that inside of us, then when we are working with other people, we can see in which body they are, if they are having a physical issue, if they have an emotional issue, if they have a mental issue. Yeah. And the connection is to see where the person is at and reconnect them back to the spirit by the fact that I am connected to the spirit. So it's changing the alchemy for the other. So it's very important first to start with the obvious dimension that is inside of us, and to re-understand them good, and then we can play in the bigger field. Yeah. So this is the principle.
Beautiful. When you meet people in different realms, you have particular talent, I would say, gift, and skill that you've worked really hard on for most of your life, for healing, healing through acupuncture, healing through spiritual guidance, healing through your presence, healing through music and ritual. Can you talk a little bit about your basic operating principles when your intention is facilitating someone's healing?
If I collect all of these modalities of healing, and what is the principle of healing to the healer, is first to be connected. Yeah. And if the connection is to the spirit inside, the spirit around us, sometimes you can use the spirit of the land, the spirit of the plants, the spirit of the animals, but some connection to a higher frequency needs to happen. And when that connection is there, then you can deliver that which is missing in that person. Sometimes people need things to be cleaned and to be moved, and sometimes they need to be nourished. Yeah. And with that simple principles, you know how to refer to people. Now, when the healing happens and when you are giving the right energy to the right person, then you can meet them in a different realm, because you elevate them into a point in spirit. Yeah, you elevate them into a point in spirit, and then the meeting point is happening.
Wow, that reminds me of that. I'll get out of the way so you can see this, what Teresa calls diamond heart sparks. this reminds me of that kind of fractal that you're talking about, of the unified field where everything is connected to center. What I hear you saying is that if you're going to be of assistance to someone else, first you need to connect to center, because everyone's connected to that center, and then let it happen through you. Is that accurate?
This is exactly it. This is exactly it. There is no point of giving healing if I'm not connecting to the essence of the source. Yeah, and there is a lot of different sources around us, and this is the principle. Exactly, this is the principle. In all the modalities, in all the healing modalities, in all the modalities of awakening, consciousness, evolution, I'm using the same principle of going into the essence of my own creation, and within that connecting to the essence of creation itself, and from there operating. So all the story, first there is a center to all what I'm doing, and that is reflecting back to the person that I'm working with, or the group that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. And that is creating something much more solid.
Beautiful description. And I'm going to take this moment to share my screen again and share one of your poems.
Oh, would love to.
Mitra has published a book recently called Insights, Steps to Truth. And we'll give you the information. We'll put it in the chat, Sandra, if you would do that now, and we'll show you the cover of the book and so forth in a moment. But I want to end this particular portion of the show by sharing this poem. Mitra has asked if I would read the poem for him, because reading, especially in English, is not his favorite thing. So I will do my best. Every time I read this poem, I'm very touched by it. So it's a privilege to do it. And it goes like this. In every extreme shift of circumstances, in the movement away from stability, once there, now gone, we live in a process of deep inner change. The perception of who we are, what this world around is, and how we see the people of this world must necessarily change. It is a time when, whether we like it or not, our perception of reality transforms. Either we develop a deeper anxiety toward life, or we mature into a more complete understanding. Such times in our lives will always be critical points in development. Oh, sorry, I think that's a typo. Will always be critical points of inner development and mark the crossroads towards positive evolution or bitterness. No real change can come from willpower alone. Willpower must be accompanied by true inspiration, the inspiration born of a renewed connection with the inner self that is, beyond time and space, inspiration that springs from freedom itself and discovers the freedom within. So I'd like to just let that sit there for a moment to complete this portion. And let me tell you what we're going to do now. For those of you who are visiting the Freedom Portal on the public platforms, we're going to transition now. And it'll take just a few minutes. And here's what's going to happen. First of all, we're going to show you a real brief little trailer for the Freedom Portal to give you a larger sense over and beyond just today's show as to what we do in the Freedom Portal. And then Leandro will show you on slides, step by step, the few steps to take to, if you want to continue with the show, you can visit our website and sign up for a free trial for the Freedom Portal. And that will get you access back into this show. He'll show you that in just a minute. For those of you who are subscribers already, I want to thank you for your patience with this process. It's a necessary process to be able to invite people to rejoin us in the show. And it takes a few minutes. So for those of you who are already in, what I want to invite you to do is two things while we're doing the transition. One is put your questions for any of us, particularly for Mitra or Deborah, in the chat. I mean, sorry, not in the chat, and put it in the Q&A. It's a lot easier for us to find that way. So put your questions in the Q&A. And then secondly, ask yourself, and this is ideally to answer in the chat during this time, in a sentence, what is spirituality to you? And then you can just put that in the chat, and then we can look at it when we all come back together. So, Leandra, let me turn it over to you to guide the new visitors where to go if they want to continue with the show. And we're just getting started. Please, I invite you, experience the Freedom Portal. It's a fantastic community. We cover the deepest topics at every scale, and it's a real shortcut to getting a lot of clarity and community very efficiently. So, Leandra, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I give everybody the walkthrough, we wanted to show everybody the Freedom Portal trailer as well, so you get a sense of what we're doing here in the show. So we'll run that, and then I'll give you guys the walkthrough.
The key is freedom. We are in a lethal mess right now in the world.
They're lying, and we know they're lying, and they know that we know that they're lying, yet still they lie.
Did you see what Fauci said? You see what the WHO did? Things that start bubbling up that I just feel like I need to communicate with somebody because there's all this crazy stuff happening.
Media is the greatest enemy and is the greatest tool being used against us.
A lot of people are probably familiar now with the World Economic Forum saying, well, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. But these people plan to own everything.
But we forget that underneath that are a bunch of scared children who have nuclear weapons and biological weapons, and now artificial intelligence.
Technocracy and understanding that is really a doorway into the whole next level of red pill.
And that's one of the reasons why we're pushing so hard to expose this stuff, and also to surface what are the ethical guidelines by which we can actually proceed harmoniously with the benefits of AI without falling prey to this authoritarian agenda.
This effort towards globalism and global governance is an effort to create extreme centralization. So a response to that is to decentralize.
The main promise that got me involved in the cryptocurrencies was the liberation and sovereignty of our species.
I think it's the most important topic on the planet right now. How can we create a universal morality that can actually guide us through all these different questions?
We are being connected by something much greater than ourselves.
People are gathering around truth and freedom because it's critical that we do.
Imagine the amount of human energy, creativity, liberation, release from fear.
We've got love, we've got the truth, and we've got the life force on our side. And ultimately that is going to be unstoppable, even if it's ugly in the transition.
We're changing the world. That's what's up, and the stakes have never been higher.
The good news is that this is still a story in the making.
Okay, so I will go ahead and show everyone how you can rejoin us here in the Freedom Portal community if you'd like to. Not only do we have this incredible catalog that we've built up over the last couple of years that you've just gotten a sample of here, but the community here in our Zoom is just absolutely incredible. It's one of my favorite parts about this entire endeavor. So if you guys would like to rejoin us in our Zoom channel, this is exactly how you can do it. So let me go ahead and screen share. Okay, you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, you're going to go to thrive1.com. And when you do that, you'll be able to click on become or start your 7-day free trial. And that's going to bring you to this page. It's going to give you the choice to either be an explorer or an angel, and to either be billed monthly or annually. So you can go ahead and make that choice. And it's like Netflix. You're going to have a 7-day free trial. You enter your credit card, and should you decide that you don't want to be a part of the Freedom Portal community, and I'm sure you will, you'll have the ability to actually cancel your subscription. So you'll go ahead and select that, and it'll tell you thank you for your purchase, and give you the option to navigate back to the Freedom Portal catalog. And once you do that, you'll be taken back to the page, and you can click sign in to continue. Do not click access now, because you'll want to go ahead and sign in with the credentials you just set up. You can enter those, and then you'll be able to come back to the catalog page and click attend on today's event. Once you do that, you'll be taken to the next page and given the link to join the webinar. And clicking that link will bring you right back into the Zoom with us, and you'll be able to enjoy the rest of the show. So look forward to seeing all of you who decide to join us, and for the rest of you, see you next weekend.
Okay, fabulous. Well, the chat is lit up to see the bigger picture, to be aware of where in me I'm